Hello everyone, you're watching This Week on MNB World. I'm your host, Batsir Namshar. Our top stories for this week. Speakers of Mongolia and Hungary held official talks. Mongolia's foreign debt decreased to $8 billion. Confederation of Mongolian Trade Unions organized a peaceful May Day protest at Sukhbaatar Square. For the news, stay tuned. The delegation from Hungary, led by the Speaker of the National Assembly of Hungary, Laszlo Kövér, is paying an official visit to Mongolia from May 4th until May 7th. On Thursday, the Speaker of Parliament of Mongolia, Sukhbaatar, and his spouse greeted Speaker Laszlo Kövér and his spouse, Maria Beck, at Sukhbaatar Square. After paying their respects to the statue of Genghis Khan, the dignitaries proceeded to the Bagnat Hall of the Government Palace, where Laszlo Kövér signed the guest book and chaired his comments.
The official talks between the two speakers then commenced at Government Palace, where they discussed topics such as bilateral relations, inter-parliamentary cooperation, and other relevant matters. At the beginning of the meeting, the Mongolian speaker emphasized the importance of Hungary as an Eastern European partner for Mongolia and a continuously active mutual cooperation even during difficult times. He also highlighted the significance of inter-parliamentary cooperation in expanding bilateral relations, creating a favorable legal environment, and enriching cooperation in areas of mutual interest. The Mongolian speaker expressed his willingness to work towards reviving cooperation between the respective secretariats and sharing experience through the exchange of staff. He also requested to establish direct relations between the research institutes under the Office of the Parliament of Mongolia and the Information Service Center of the National Assembly of Hungary, and to conduct joint academic research. The Speaker of the National Assembly of Hungary expressed his appreciation for the warm welcome and invited the Speaker of Parliament Sukhbaatar and members of the Mongolian-Hungarian Parliamentary Group to visit Hungary at their convenience. He noted the importance of expanding economic relations and increasing trade turnover while focusing on accelerating student exchange programs. The Hungarian speaker expressed his full support for the proposals and initiatives of his Mongolian counterpart and articulated his determination to facilitate cooperation in education, agriculture, tourism, and animal husbandry. Both parties expressed their confidence that Mongolian students studying in Hungary will act as a bridge connecting the people of the two countries and make a tangible contribution to the development of traditional friendly relations and cooperation. They also acknowledged that the 30-day visa-free visitation period for Hungarian citizens in Mongolia has become an important impetus for the development of tourism. A delegation led by the Speaker of the National Assembly of Hungary, Kövér Laszlo, is paying an official visit to Mongolia on May 4th to 7th. The Traffic Police Authority has announced that some roads will be temporarily closed during the visit. Starting from Thursday through Sunday, there will be temporary traffic restrictions in the CBD area of Ulaanbaatar around Nadamcha Street, Chingiz Avenue, Ikhtavan Avenue, Mongol Street, Sukhbaatar Square, and Bakhtaru Street in order to ensure the safety of the official delegates. Road traffic participants are advised to comply with the legal requirements of police officers on duty during this period and to avoid any unnecessary travel if possible.
On Monday, May 1st, Minister of Finance Zhao Huileng held a press conference to provide the latest updates on the country's foreign debt. He noted that Mongolia avoided default risk and that foreign debt has decreased to $8 billion.
Last Friday, the government of Mongolia completed the payment of the remaining $387 million of the $800 million Gerege bond issued by Mongolia in 2017. Since 1990, the government has entered into market relations with international financial institutions such as the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, World Bank Group, financial institutions, and Asian Development Bank. Since 2012, bonds of financial debt and credit relations have been created in the international market with the code name Government, and the government issued its own bonds. In 2012, the Chinggis bond was issued. A total of 7 bonds have been issued by the government. The Chinggis bond was used to finance state programs. The 3 bonds issued since then were designed to cover budget deficits. The Horolda, Gerege, and Nomad bonds issued in 2017 were issued only for refinancing and adjusting previous debts.
He noted that the remaining $136.8 million of the Chinggis bond debt was fully paid off in December 2022. The total debt of the government has decreased to $8 billion. In the third and fourth quarters of 2022, there was a high probability of Mongolia going into default. Minister Jahlan noted that the successful increase of exports in 2022 was the driving force for avoiding foreign debt default. According to last week's report on exports, 18 million tons of coal were exported, similar to exports in September 2022. At the end of 2022, export volume increased to 32 million tons.
The Confederation of Mongolian Trade Unions organized a peaceful protest at Sukhbaatar Square on May 1st to mark International Workers' Day. Demonstrators demanded that measures be taken to decrease inflation and increase the minimum wage.
The Confederation called for raising the minimum wage to 880,000 MNT, approximately $1.5 per hour, in response to rising prices and inflation. They also demanded higher salaries for teachers and medical workers. The trade unions warned that they will escalate their demonstrations to include a strike if the government fails to take action.
People are demanding a solution to rising prices. To tell the truth, the prices for essential products have become similar to prices in developing countries, but salaries are several times lower than salaries in other countries. Thousands of young professionals are immigrating abroad, like we are living in a country at war. Our demands include reforms. We ask the authorities to invest in our people. We should support the domestic production of goods. Bribery and corruption have become a huge problem. Our salaries aren't enough to live a decent life. My salary is 500,000 Mongolian tugus. I make essential payments on payday, and I'm left with practically nothing. The salaries are very low. Due to inflation, salaries should be raised at least twofold to cover essential needs.
The medical sector is losing its professional staff due to low salaries. For example, nowadays we don't have enough nurses, as young professionals wanting a better life are going abroad.
Similar demonstrations took place in Mongolia's 21 provinces. Protesters called for reforms and investment in the Mongolian people through support for domestic production. They also expressed concerns about bribery and corruption, which they say has become a significant problem.
This week, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia, Sukhbaatar, paid a working visit to the People's Republic of China on May 1st and 2nd, 2023, at the invitation of the State Councillor and Minister of Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China, Qin Gang.
The Ministers of Foreign Affairs held official talks in Beijing on May 1st, 2023, and exchanged views on the relations and cooperation between Mongolia and China, as well as regional issues of mutual interest. The parties agreed to closely work together to realize the agreements reached by the heads of state of the two countries during the state visit of the President of Mongolia, Okhnagin Khurelsukh, to China in November of 2022. and to bring the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries to a new level. The foreign ministers agreed to cooperate on a number of issues, including working on the long-term and stable supply of Mongolia's mining products to the Chinese market and increase agricultural products export in line with the goal of intensifying trade and economic cooperation between the two countries and increasing the trade turnover up to $20 billion in the coming years. Renewing the 1955 Mongolia and China border railway agreement. Within the framework of the Welcome to Mongolia year, the issue of attracting Chinese tourists, supporting cooperation between tourism companies of the two countries and increasing the number of train connections. Also, in order to jointly combat desertification and yellow dust storms and to support the national campaign to plant 1 billion trees initiated by Mongolian President Hurusukh, the countries agreed on establishing a joint research center for the fight against desertification in both countries, to operate bilateral research teams in Beijing and Ulaanbaatar, and to support and cooperate in the organization of the 17th Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, COP17, in 2026 in Mongolia.
In recent years, the quality and safety of surface water, underground water and soil in Mongolia have not met the required standards, resulting in the population being unable to have access to safe drinking water. Therefore, the government is working towards ensuring that at least 90% of the population has access to hygienic and safe drinking water.
In 2019, 117 out of 330 households in the Bainzurg district of Ulaanbaatar were found to have Escherichia coli bacteria, known as E. coli, in the water supply due to the absence of centralized quality water supply system. This is a clear example of inadequate monitoring of drinking water. In recent years, old and corroded water pipes as well as unmonitored underground wells have become increasingly common. Officials emphasize that providing the population with access to safe drinking water is a priority goal in Mongolia.
Some suburbs of the city and newly built condominium buildings are using drinking water from ground wells that are not connected to the central network and are not being monitored and disinfected. Additionally, the level of certain chemical elements, such as fluoride, is low. There are several issues that need to be addressed, such as the lack of professional oversight over water distribution facilities in the towns and neighborhoods of the Kashurt area. The implementation of a proper water safety plan is about 70% complete. There are instances where the water quality does not meet requirements when it finally reaches consumers. All wells must have a certificate approved by the Department of Environment, but implementation of this law is insufficient. Some people just dig wells in their yards and then assume they are drinking healthy groundwater, when in fact it's just soil water that may not conform to quality and safety standards.
The quality of surface water, underground water, and soil in urban areas of Mongolia often exceed permissible standards, indicating that the right of citizens to live in a healthy and safe environment is being violated. This was emphasized during the discussion.
For instance, the high incidence of digestive tract diseases among the population in the Gobi region may be related to the quality of the water. Researchers have shown that environmental risk factors can contribute up to 25% to human health risks.
By 2050, the government has set a goal that 90% of the population will have access to safe drinking water that meets all hygienic requirements.
Teachers, forestry engineers, agriculture and farming specialists are in high demand in Mongolia. There are more than 3,000 job vacancies in these sought-after professions, but there is an acute shortage in the labor market due to very few students choosing these professions.
For instance, this year 197 students will graduate from the 12th grade at the 48th secondary school. Among them, after considering their career options, only one student chose to pursue a career in livestock, and one student chose to become a preschool teacher. Ironically, these are actually the leading professions that are in demand in Mongolia.
I grew up on a farm since the age of 3. I think that pursuing animal husbandry will lead to more opportunities in the future. Unfortunately, very few students in my generation chose to study agriculture after completing high school.
Since childhood, I like working with children, and since I have experience of growing with many younger siblings, and in light of the high demand for preschool teachers in my country, I have chosen this profession with the hope of securing job opportunities after my graduation. In March of this year, the government released a list of in-demand and priority professions in higher education. The list included professions that are currently in demand, such as preschool, elementary school teachers, chemistry, physics, mathematics, biology, geography teachers, tourism, nutrition science, forestry, dairy science, nursing, physical therapy, and psychology. Among the 83 leading professional directions, there is a demand for agriculture and animal husbandry, oil processing technology, electrical engineering, information technology, and renewable energy in the priority areas of higher education. However, many students often tend to choose professions such as lawyers and economists, which are currently experiencing a surplus in the market.
Out of 197 graduating students, only 2 have chosen a profession that is currently in demand. Unfortunately, most students are not choosing from the in-demand majors when making their final choices. Furthermore, it is unfortunate that none of the students have chosen a career in teaching.
4 years after graduation, many students waste valuable time due to lack of understanding about the demand for various professions. It is common to see students changing their majors after 2 or 3 years of study, which can lead to wasting one's time and starting the learning process for a new profession from scratch.
Last year, more than 30,000 students graduated from university. Of these, only about 300 specialists graduate from the most sought-after professions, such as agriculture and forestry, which is only about 1% of the graduates. According to the labor market research, more than 3,000 jobs are vacant in these sectors. If studying in a sought-after major, students can often study with subsidized loans and scholarships.
Graduates for in-demand professions have a higher chance of securing employment. Firstly, students who choose majors that are high in demand have more opportunities to receive government grants and subsidized loans. Secondly, we will be announcing these categories and rankings of our higher education based on the percentage of all graduates who secure employment immediately, with this being the main factor in determining the most important indicators.
There's a surplus of business management and legal professions in Mongolia. For example, 1/3 of all the students who graduated last year, or more than 10,000 students, acquired the above profession. Experts say that by choosing a profession that is in demand in the market, it is possible to obtain employment and a good salary immediately after graduation.
Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you next week with more news and updates. Have a nice weekend. Goodbye.